I'm mostly getting 3 responses to my Alex Pretti video analysis, and I'm going to try to address all 3. Number 1 is people who aren't convinced the first shot is Pretti's gun going off in the hand of the officer who took it. Here's what I have. You can see the recoil. You can see what looks like a bullet casing being ejected here, and you can see this piece of cloth jumping in a way that is not consistent with being stepped on by his foot. Number 2 is people who worry this creates a justification or excuse for the subsequent shots. And I'm sorry, I just don't see it that way. There never should have been 6 officers beating a man on the floor with their guns out ready to kill him for the crime of helping a woman who was assaulted by one of them. And even if they pulled the trigger in reaction to the gun going off, they still shot him 5 more times after he was down, and they celebrated it. There's no justification for any of that. That is still murder, clear as day. Number 3 are people who say the discharge wasn't accidental, it was calculated to create the justification to kill him. And I need you to think about the sequence of events for that to be the case. Because a few seconds earlier, they had no reason to believe he was armed. So in a matter of a few seconds, they pepper spray him, they start beating him, they notice the weapon, and then they kind of spontaneously come up with a coordinated plan for one of them to take the weapon, fire it to create the justifications for the other to shoot him. These people aren't that smart. There's like 1 brain cell shared between all 6 officers, and I'm being generous here. It's the same with Jonathan Ross killing Renee Good. Is it possible he stepped in front of the vehicle to intentionally create the justification to kill her? I guess maybe. I'm not in his head. And I don't need that to be true to know that he never should have been in front of the vehicle regardless of his intention. That is against his training and policy and everything. He shouldn't have fired at her once the vehicle started moving. Again, against use of force policy, against training, against any common sense that it makes the situation more dangerous for everyone, because he had the option to move out of the way, and even once he was out of the way, he still shot her 2 more times. So if you believe these acts were planned and calculated, that's fine, you can believe that, but you don't need that hypothesis for this to be murder. We don't need them to be this kind of calculating, competent villain who's in control of every second of every interaction. Because we're slowing it down and analyzing it frame by frame like, oh, the officer was looking in this direction, so he must have seen this. Or what does this arm movement mean that we're looking at in freeze frame? But the reality is all of these things happen over fractions of seconds. And in my opinion, they're not in control. They're dogs off a leash. They're not thinking about the details. But evil and incompetent isn't any less evil. It's not so much that they're calculating ways to be able to murder people. It's that they don't care that they're murdering people and they're not taking basic steps to keep people safe. And at the end of the day, what really matters is who let them off the leash.